I can still feel his breath on my skin. The man I was never supposed to touch. The man whose name I was not even supposed to whisper. I slept with my husband's boss. I told myself it was only to save John's job. One night, one secret, one sacrifice. But the lie I told the mirror each morning began to rot in my chest. Because I did not hate it. I did not hate him. I went in with trembling hands and came out craving something I could never confess. My marriage survived that night, but I did not. And when Marshall texted me after, saying he wanted to see me again alone, I stared at my phone for hours, heart pounding, legs shaking, wondering what kind of woman I had become. Because part of me wanted to say yes. Before I go on, let me just say a huge thank you to all of you who have subscribed to this channel. Your support means more than I can ever explain. And for our new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, thank you for being here. I truly cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. It is the fuel and the energy that keeps this channel alive. Also, please do not forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. I read everything. Now back to the story. My name is Gina. I live in a small town in New Hampshire where maple trees grow taller than the church steeples, and everyone knows who works where, who married who, and whose lawn needs cutting. I met John when we were both working shifts at a grocery store right after high school. We married young. Too young maybe, but we had dreams. He wanted to become a property manager, and I wanted to raise a family in a home we owned, not rented. John got a job with Marshall and Crestfield Properties 2 years ago. At first, we were thrilled. The money was decent, the benefits solid, and Marshall himself, a man in his late 40s with sharp eyes and a voice that never rose above a whisper, seemed to respect John. But over time, the tension grew. The company had layoffs, then delays, then cold silences. John began coming home late, stressed, snapping at the littlest things. His hands shook when he drank his coffee. And one night, I walked into our bedroom and found him sitting on the floor, staring blankly at his work ID badge. He said it plainly, "I think I am next." That was the night I decided to take matters into my own hands. The next day, while running errands near John's office building, I bumped into Marshall in the lobby. He recognized me instantly, smiled in that smooth, unreadable way, and said, "Gina, right? John's wife. You have time for coffee?" It felt polite to say yes. But that coffee turned into a drink. That drink turned into a quiet booth in the back of a hotel lounge. And somewhere between the second glass of wine and the third unblinking stare, he said it. "I can make John's job problem disappear, but I want something in return." I stared at him, not understanding at first. Then I did. My mouth dried up. My chest tightened. I wanted to slap him, but I did not leave. He leaned closer, speaking as if it were nothing more than business. "One night, Gina. No strings. You walk away. He keeps his job. No one ever knows." I said no. I got up. I walked away. But I did not sleep that night. I kept picturing John's tired eyes, his shaking hands, the way he once said, "I would give anything to keep this job. Anything." So I called Marshall the next day, and I said yes. I do not remember much about the elevator ride to that hotel room. My heart was pounding so loud, I thought it would crack my ribs. I kept telling myself it was not cheating. It was survival. A dirty trade, but for a noble reason. But nothing about what happened felt noble. And the worst part? It did not feel disgusting either. He was gentle, controlled, powerful. There was something about the way he looked at me that made me feel seen, wanted, valued. Not like a wife cleaning dishes at midnight or a woman cutting coupons to save 20 cents on laundry soap. It was supposed to be one night, but then he texted, "I want to see you again." Just us. No pressure.
And
I stared at the message for hours. Because I wanted to say yes. The second time I saw Marshall, I told myself I was only going to end things. I even practiced what I would say. It was a mistake. It cannot happen again. Thank you, but no. But when I stepped into that quiet corner of the hotel lobby and saw him waiting, black coat, clean shave, the same unreadable smirk, I said nothing. I followed him. That night was not a trade. It was a choice. And after that, I could not stop. I became two women. The wife who made John's dinner, folded his socks, and smiled like everything was fine. And the other version of me, the woman who wore red lipstick in the car, shaking as she parked outside Marshall's private condo in Manchester. A woman who laughed louder, felt bolder, and for the first time in a long time, felt alive. I told myself I was helping John. After all, he still had his job. His name was not on any layoff lists. Marshall even gave him a new office with a better view. I convinced myself I was part of John's success story. But deep down, I knew that was a lie. Marshall never promised me anything else. He never said he cared. But he started texting me daily. Just thinking of you, or you look tired today. Are you sleeping enough? It was nothing and everything. He began to ask questions John never asked anymore. What do you want from your life, Gina? Do you ever feel invisible? Yes, I did. And I hated that he saw it. Every time I returned home, I scrubbed my skin in the shower until it turned red. I would look at myself in the mirror and whisper, "Stop this. You are destroying everything." But then John would walk in, distracted, tired, mumbling about deadlines and office politics, barely looking me in the eye. And I would slip further into the dark. I began lying. Badly. Telling John I was meeting a friend, that I joined a book club, that I had errands in a town 2 hours away. I could feel the wall between us getting taller, colder, but I kept building it anyway. The guilt was there, but so was the hunger. Marshall made me feel things John had not stirred in years. He never begged. He never blamed. He just looked at me like I was something rare. It became routine. Wednesday nights. Friday afternoons. Sometimes even a rushed hour in the back seat of his black car in a parking garage. One time, he gave me an emerald bracelet. I refused it. He insisted. "You wear pain well, Gina, but I want you to wear beauty too." It was twisted, but I kept going back. Then one evening, John came home earlier than expected. I was still dressed from seeing Marshall, heels, perfume, hair done too perfectly for a grocery run. John looked at me long and hard. "Where were you?" I froze. Then I said, "Target." He nodded slowly, too slowly. And that night, he barely touched his food. He kept glancing at his phone, like he was waiting for something, or someone. The next day, I came home to find John sitting on the couch. Calm. Too calm. A glass of whiskey in his hand. "I know," he said. My heart nearly stopped. "Marshall. You and him. I know." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Then he said something that made me feel like I had stepped into a different reality. "I do not want a divorce." I blinked, confused. "What?" "I do not want to fight, or scream, or break things. I just want to offer you something." I was still trembling. "You are offering me something?" He nodded. "Keep seeing him. If he is willing to give, we might as well take." "What?" "What are you saying?" "I am saying this could work for us, Gina. You keep him happy, and we both get something out of it." I could not speak. I sat there on the edge of the couch, staring at John like he had just ripped the air from the room. His voice had been so calm, so deliberate, almost rehearsed. "Keep him happy," he said. "We both benefit." In that moment, Everything inside me cracked. I expected rage,
accusation,
maybe even tears. But not this. Not cold, calculated approval. You want me to be his mistress. For your career? I asked slowly, trying to understand the shape of the poison he had just poured. John did not flinch. He sipped his whiskey, eyes fixed on mine. You already are. I am just saying, if it is going to happen, then let it mean something. He has money, influence. Promotions do not fall from the sky, Gina.
he likes you.
Use it. I wanted to scream, to slap him. But instead, I just whispered, You disgust me. His voice dropped. Do not act like you are innocent. You made your choice the night you opened that hotel door. He was right. And that was what shattered me most. John had always been the good one. Quiet,
Loyal.
predictable. But now I saw him clearly, just another man willing to sell his soul for success. And I had already sold mine for something worse. I did not go to Marshall that week. I ignored his texts. I avoided downtown. I scrubbed the house from top to bottom, trying to clean myself. But the guilt would not come off. Neither would the shame. Then one night I got a call. Not a text. A call. It was Marshall.
I think you are done, he said.
I never force. But I also do not wait. Goodbye, Gina.
Click.
He was gone. Just like that. Like I was a temporary thrill. An arrangement. A secret. And suddenly, I realized how empty I had become. I had destroyed my marriage. I had betrayed myself. And I was still alone. John got promoted 2 weeks later. A big office. Bigger salary. He smiled more. Took longer showers. Bought himself a new watch. We slept in the same bed, but the space between us was miles wide. One evening, I asked him, Do you even care that you lost me? He looked at me, expressionless. You were already gone. That night, I packed a small bag. I did not know where I was going, but I knew I could not stay. I stayed with my sister for a while. Got a part-time job at a flower shop. Started therapy. Slowly, I began to feel things again. Pain, regret, hunger for peace. Not passion, not power, just peace. Marshall never called again. John never filed for divorce. But I did. And it was not out of revenge or anger. It was survival. Because I had played with fire. And now I was done being ash. Looking back, I wish I had made different choices. I wish I had spoken to John before I ever spoke to Marshall. I wish I had fought for my marriage instead of trying to fix it with secrets. But most of all, I wish I had remembered my worth before someone else decided it for me. To anyone listening, never trade your soul for someone else's approval. And never let silence become the language of your relationship. What are your thoughts on how it all ended? Do you think Gina made the right decision? Could any of this have been avoided? I would love to hear what you think in the comments. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. More real, raw, and emotionally intense stories are coming soon. Ones that will keep you thinking long after they end. Thank you for watching.